Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen Passarello. I'm a certified coach for Optavia. I am here today to make a lean and green. So I'm actually making the lean and green for Nick because he eats twice a day. He's on the 4-2-in-1 program, whereas I'm on the 5-in-1. So I'm going to reserve my lean and green for dinner with him. But this is lunchtime for him, so he'd like to have his lean and green. So stay tuned. Okay, so if you like what you see here in this video, make sure you hit subscribe and then click the bell to check all. Then you'll get notifications every time I upload a new video. If you like what you see here and you've learned something, make sure you hit that like button and give me a thumbs up. Okay, but welcome to my channel. And what are we making here? We're making a lean and green with an egg white and egg omelet. Okay, so I have everything here prepared. We're making a veggie omelet, and I just wanted to show you a few things. I'm actually going to make a double serving for him so that he could take another serving tomorrow to work for his first lean and green tomorrow. So everything here, I'm going to double the correct amount that would normally be a lean and green. Okay, so the first thing I did was I washed all my veggies. I'm going to be using asparagus, zucchini, and tomatoes as the green. And then for the lean, one lean, I should say actually, oh, there's my dogs. All right, nobody's here, you guys, nobody's here. For the lean component of the lean and green, I'm actually going to be using a leaner, which is 2 eggs and a cup of egg whites. Okay, so I'm actually going to double that, so it's going to be 4 eggs and it's going to be 2 cups of egg whites in order to make a double omelet. Okay, and then I'm going to be adding a little bit of cheese. So I'm going to take you along the journey and you're going to get to see everything with me. Okay, the first thing I did, so this is the tricky part for some of you, if you've had a chance to make a lean and green before. If you're new to this journey, then this is the one meal that we eat as far as what the program consists of. Just to give you a little background really quick. So if you're on a 5-in-1 program, you're eating 5 fuelings a day and 1 lean and green meal, and that's what the 5-in-1 consists of. Nick works out 4 to 5 times a week, doing strenuous exercise, so he actually has a 4-2-in-1. The 4 fuelings are the 4, 2 lean and greens a day, and then 1 snack. So he has to have a snack every day, whereas for us on the 5-in-1 program, we get an optional snack. Okay. The interesting part, or the tricky part of this, is I use the vegetable guide. So many of you that have a coach, you'll see that they've sent you this vegetable guide. This is what helps me figure out the actual measurements of vegetables in order to create my lean and green meals. Okay. Now the tricky part is, something like an omelet where you want to weigh it. We're supposed to be weighing our lean and green after everything is cooked. Okay, so with an omelet, how are you going to do that if you have all your vegetables in the pan with the eggs already mixed? So it's almost impossible to do something like that unless you cook the veggies separate and then try to take them out and weigh them. But even so, you're not weighing each particular vegetable as it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh it based on the raw, okay? The raw measurement, assuming that it's going to cook down to the cooked measurement that's on the vegetable conversion chart, okay? So as far as the asparagus goes, it says for raw asparagus, the gram weight should be 67 grams. So I've actually measured 1 serving of the 67 grams of asparagus in here, and I wanted to show you how I did that. So I don't know if you know this about asparagus, but it has a normal breaking point wherever it is, I guess, how it grew and it's mature. It has a normal breaking point. So if you just pull back on 1 asparagus, it'll snap where it's meant to snap. If you cut them at the end and you all cut them evenly, then what happens is you might get some tough pieces, and that's what makes it look kind of chewy and stringy. So they actually just naturally break where they're meant to break, and you might feel like you're losing some, but honestly, this is not the asparagus you want to be eating anyway. So I'm just gonna break these off, and you see my puppy is down here trying to get some. I'll give that to him. Okay, so you see that they're like this. I'm gonna put them in my bowl and hit tare on my scale. Now again, I'm measuring in grams, so that's too low, that's 45. So I'm gonna wash a few more of these, and I'm gonna add them into that measurement. But remember, I'm not measuring them with the ends on them. So I have to snap those ends off first. You see these were picked kind of early because they're like snapping in half, literally. Okay, let me add these in. Okay, that's 62. We're so close. We're like 2 away. Hold on. We need 2 more. If I would have done this ahead of time, you wouldn't have seen my whole like snapping tip that I have. Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. It's actually 68, but I'll take it. Okay, so that I'm gonna put on my cutting board and get ready to chop. Okay, the next thing is the zucchini, okay? The zucchini is actually what I'm gonna cook in the pan first because it takes longer to cook. The asparagus doesn't take as long, so I'm not gonna cook it as long. So this is the first thing I'm gonna cut up. This is a pretty big zucchini, so I don't know if I'm gonna end up using the whole thing. So I'm just I cut the ends off first, and then I'm gonna cut these in half, and we'll take a look. What I like to do is I like to cut them in quarters. So I cut them in half and then cut them in half again and make quarter sections. And then I just cut it down like this. Feel free to peel your zucchini if you would rather do that. If you like to eat it with the skin on, that's also fine. You could eat it both ways. Okay. So in the guide, in the vegetable conversion guide, okay, for zucchini, it's actually found under squash, and it's called summer squash or zucchini squash. And it says for raw, in grams, it's 65 grams, okay? So I'm gonna tear and I'm gonna see, remember I'm doubling the recipe, so I'll need 130 grams of zucchini squash. Okay, so that's a little bit over, let's take some out. All right, that's 130 grams on the dot, okay? So that's going to go into my pan. These are going to go to the dogs. They're gonna love that. So that's for them. And the last thing I'm gonna cut up are some tomatoes. So on the vegetable conversion chart, you'll find these under tomatoes, and they are a little higher in carb count, so they're actually in the red column or the red category. For cherry tomatoes like these, it's 74.5 grams of cherry tomatoes, okay? And that's raw. And remember, I'm gonna cook them a little bit to give them a little bit more flavor. To start my pan, I wanna heat that up so it's ready to go when I'm ready with my zucchini. And put that here, and I'm gonna measure out my tomatoes. So I'm looking for 74.5 grams. And this is gonna add up very quick. Try to get some smaller ones. And I'm using just the cherry, heirloom tomatoes. They have a really nice taste. Okay, so that's 74 grams of that. All right, so because I'm doubling, I'm only gonna use one vegetable portion of the cherry tomatoes. I'm actually going to use, no, scratch that. I'm gonna use double the tomatoes. I'm gonna use regular tomatoes. So for any lean green, you get 3 condiments as well, okay? What I'm gonna do is, because this is a lean green that's being doubled, I'm actually going to double the condiments. So he gets 6 condiments in this meal, okay? Because we're splitting it over 2 meals. So for 1 condiment, I'm gonna use garlic cloves. So 1 garlic clove is considered 1 condiment, so I'm actually using 2 garlic cloves here, okay? And I'm gonna chop them up nice and small. This way it goes pretty far. You could also smack the trick to get all of the oils out. And I'm gonna just mince the garlic like that. I have this spray oil from Trader Joe's. It's the canola oil spray. And it tends to really lubricate the pan really well so that things don't stick. So this is like my go-to. I like to use olive oil as a spray, but it doesn't have a very high burning temp. So, that always kind of makes me weary when I'm cooking. I wanna make sure that, I'm not gonna use an oil that turns carcinogenic. So I try not to use olive oil when I cook, okay? I just spray the pan. I'm gonna put my measured zucchini and my garlic into the pan, okay? I'm gonna also add in my asparagus. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my tomatoes on my cutting board and I'm gonna hack them. I'm actually gonna add another serving of tomatoes. So let me just cut these up really quick. You give it a little zhuzh around in the pan. I'm going to give the tomatoes a minute to get nice and soft and release a lot of that juice into the omelet. And I'm gonna prepare my eggs. So 1 leaner is 2 eggs and 1 cup of egg whites. But I'm doubling it, so I'm gonna be making 4 eggs. I'm just using organic eggs from Trader Joe's. That's 4. You gotta shake the egg whites up really well. This calls for 2 cups, okay? So 1 cup is what makes 2 eggs 1 leaner, okay? So I have to use 2 cups of this. Swirl it around. Okay, so remember you guys, I said I'm gonna do 6 condiments, right? So I'm gonna use a condiment with cheese, or actually 2 condiments of cheese. I'm also going to put 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's 1 condiment. And I'm gonna use a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Almost. Okay, that's 2. Okay, I get 2 healthy fats with this, or he gets 2 healthy fats with this. So I'm actually going to put olive oil into. Oops, that went over a little bit. Sure. So that's 2 healthy fats. Okay. Just remember, we're doubling the size. So I'm adding the olive oil into the mixture, and that'll help it not not stick to the pan. I'm going to whisk it all up, okay? Okay, now that you can see it's sizzling away, okay? Let me just mix it all up one more time before I pour the eggs in. Okay, so I'm making it pretty even in the pan. Now I'm going to pour in the eggs. You know, what I like to do is I put a cover on it so that it basically steams itself and it cooks evenly. Because if you leave the cover off, there's a tendency for the bottom of the omelet to burn, and then the top is still with like runny egg, okay? And that's always been a struggle. So I put a cover on it and I keep it at a low simmer. See you when it's done. So I'm going to show you how I typically turn over an omelet. This is something my dad taught me. So I grab a plate that would fit right inside the pan. Okay, so this plate is perfectly sized for this. Okay, I'm also going to put the mitt on my plate hand. Okay, so I'm going to step off to the side so you're able to see this. Let me just make sure that it'll come right off. Give me a sec. Don't want to get stuck to the bottom. And I'm going to flip it like that. Ta-da! Now I'm just going to slide it back into the pan. Here we go. Okay, so let's recap really quick, okay? We are doing a double omelet, okay? We used our 6 portions of vegetables, okay? We used 2 portions of zucchini, 2 portions of asparagus, 2 portions of cherry tomato. Because it's a leaner, and we're doing 2 together, we get 2 healthy fats with that. So the 2 healthy fats were 2 teaspoons of olive oil that it mixed into the egg mixture. We also get 6 condiments, so 3 condiments for each lean and green. The 6 condiments were, so 2 of the 6, I used 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I also used a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, black pepper. So that consisted of 2 condiments. So I still have 4 condiments left. Now, the rule of thumb for a condiment is that it should be no more than 1 gram of carbs. So I have, if you look at your guide, low-fat cheese can be counted as a condiment, okay? So I have this low-fat Mexican blend from Trader Joe's, and if you look at the specs on the back, the nutrition content says it has 2 grams of carbs for 1/4 cup, okay? Now remember, so that means that 1/8 of a cup is considered 1 condiment. I have 4 condiments left, so I could actually have a 1/2 a cup of this cheese and still stay within the regs of a condiment. Okay, so I have a 1/2 a cup. All right, so it weighs about 57 grams, 60 grams or so. So now that the omelet's turned over in the pan, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sprinkle the cheese over the top, and that'll let it melt, okay? Okay, so just to give you a little bit more insight, sometimes I will change around the omelet a little bit for him. If I know he's coming home from a big workout or something like that, and I want to give him a little extra, like protein or something, what I'll do is I'll make an egg white omelet, and instead of using all of the egg whites, I'll add some turkey, and I'll cook up some turkey in there. If he wants something after he comes home from a heavy workout, I might take like an ounce or two from his lean and green at night and put it into his omelet as an addition to the 2 eggs and the cup of egg whites as well. Or, you could even be more strategic about your vegetables. Sometimes, like if I had spinach that was actually good in the house, I would have put spinach in the omelet, and that would have really beefed it up a lot, because even though spinach does cook down, so that's the other thing you have to be mindful of, is how much the vegetables cook down once you actually make your omelet. The other thing you could do is, if you want to use condiments with spices, or you want to use your condiments in a different way around the omelet. Say you're having, your omelet with coffee, and you want to add some half and half in there, and you use the condiment for that already. What you could do is take away some of your protein portion of the lean and use that with cheese. Okay, so you could use your cheese as a portion of like an ounce of cheese. Instead of having maybe a 1/4 cup of egg white, you could put an ounce of cheese in there as part of your lean count, instead of using it as eggs. So, it just depends on how you want to navigate it. But that's one of the things I love about the program, is you really can make it work for whatever your needs are, and you could change things as you go, as long as you're staying within the parameters and guidelines. I know a lot of people out there, they don't want to weigh every single day. They say, weigh once a week, but I will tell you that I got into a lot of trouble doing that. And when I did other programs and, counted my points and things like that, if I just knew I was going to weigh in on Monday night, that was part of the issue, is I would eat the way I wanted to eat and pretend to do the program, or do the program-ish. And then what would happen is, now it's the weekend, let me really be good because my weigh-in is on Monday and I don't want to go up on the scale. And so I would do the program for like 3 days a week out of the 7, and that's why I wasn't successful. You could lose weight on any diet, but what you really need to consider is the mindset change that needs to happen, and your change in relationship with the food. If you don't change your relationship with food, and you are making choices that are not on program and are not on plan, and you're pretending to do it or doing the program-ish, and you're telling yourself, I'm only going to weigh in on Thursday, so you're good Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday after you weigh in, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're not doing the program. That's where you're going to run into trouble, and you're going to be upset that the program's not working. But is it the program not working, or is it you? So, that was a big reality check for me that I needed, because any diet's going to work. It's really about the mental shift that has to occur in order for you to be successful in any program, on any plan. So whether it be this program or another program, and it's also about accountability, and it's about honesty with yourself. If you're pretending to do the program, and yet you're going out to eat, and you're having, tons of alcohol, and you're drinking margaritas, and, you're eating, chips and dip and guac and all these things, or you're eating pasta with bread and everything because it's the weekend, and then you want to say that you're on program, you're really not on program, So I would really just think about, take a step back and really try to figure out what would work for your lifestyle. This program works for my lifestyle because it allows me to not really have to think about food, and it allowed me to detach from my emotional connection to food. And that was what I needed in order to have a sustainable change. I've been on the program since September 13th. I'm down 70 pounds and I'm still going. My goal is to be down 100 pounds by the time I go to Mexico August 2nd. So, I have a goal in mind. It really helps me to coach people. It helps me to stay accountable. It helps me to have a network of people and a community of support around me. It also helps to bounce ideas off of one another, and watch other people on YouTube and on Facebook Lives and things like that. But I have found success on this program not because of the food alone, okay? I have found success on this program because of the 4 major components, and that's the fact that I have a coach and a coaching team above me, so I could go and ask them questions. You know, I could address any concerns that I have. They could give me tips and tricks, and you know, they could really guide me in the process. I have a community of support, you know, where I could share as much as I want or as little as I want. I also have the food, okay, the fuelings that I get, and I eat 5 times a day in addition to my lean and green meal. And I have the Habits of Health transformation system, and that's what really helped me shift my mindset. So if you're interested in doing this program and you're interested in, even if you just have some questions and you want to reach out, please reach out to me. Please message me. You could find me on Facebook, Kristen Passarello. You could also find me on Instagram at Coach Kristen P. Okay, that's my Instagram handle. So if you have any questions, just reach out, comment, like, subscribe. Okay, guys, this is the omelet. It's finished. Look at how ginormous it is. It's huge. It takes up the whole entire plate, and these are big plates, if you can tell. So this, obviously, like we said, we were making 2 portions and 2 servings of this. So he's going to actually put this in half, and he's going to save half for his first lean and green tomorrow. Okay, but this is how it looks. He's going to go and enjoy now. Okay, babe, food's done. All right, so I just want to show you, I packed up half of that for his lunch tomorrow.
That is a man's omelet right there, filled with protein and nutrients. Thank you, Coach Kristen.
Anytime, babe.